Hello, everybody. Welcome to the World of Brickfilms podcast, the BRAWL 2026 results special. As always, I'm your host, William of LETW Studios. Joining with me, as always, is my good friend and co-host, Sean Willis of Silly Panther.
Hello again.
And today we've got two special guests. We have the host of BRAWL 2026 and former Bricks in Motion admin, Chris Wynn. And we also...
Hello again.
And we also have a third place winner of BRAWL 2026 and new admin of Bricks in Motion, Graham Schumacher of Aeronomad.
Hey guys.
Hello. Actually, just first off, have you actually been on camera before, like, you know, officially for like Bricks in Motion stuff, or is this like a first?
I don't know. This might be the first.
Yeah. Now you're admin, you have to be on camera. Is the
Yeah,
Here's the face.
It's a talent requirement.
announcement videos. Yeah.
Well, by the time this comes out, summer contest will have been announced, and NerdNot, I believe, will also have been on camera. So basically, that is a requirement, I guess. Got to show your face. I managed to get Penta. I will say, I managed to get Penta to come out of the shadows and get on camera as admin. That is a proud accomplishment of myself.
It has been a slight difficulty of getting hosts for contests. You know, it used to not be the case, but now you need people who are willing to appear in announcement videos.
Yeah. I think we kind of There's one of the big things that's happened in the last few years is that kind of us kind of being more, I guess, kind of YouTubey in some ways, where we are kind of the announcement videos are like YouTube videos, and being like a person with like the sort of recognizable sort of face or whatever is something which is kind of expected now. But yeah, that's interesting because that's something which I don't think was really a thing going back before. It was
it wasn't, because that was mostly on the forums. They were all just text posts, and then as the kind of decentralization from websites to Discord and YouTube, and it became more of like a social hub thing, even though I guess that wasn't even my intention. I think it was just like, oh well, Funsucker, the previous host of BRAWL, he had done like one or two announcement videos that were no face, literally just all voiceover. I just decided, hey, let me start this up. I'll shoot myself, make it a little bit more personal, I guess, and we're off to the races. So
Next we'll be doing shocked faces and video thumbnails.
Yeah, that's my favorite part, is doing the thumbnail.
You wouldn't believe
and when
who
also
walked
like
out.
8 years of doing videos. Oh my god, that's literally looking back at old thumbnails, like, I've already done this bit before. No, let me try to figure out something else.
Yeah, now you need to master the Mr. Beast dead-eyed smile.
Change all their thumbnails to yellow and blue.
Make that the thumbnail, yeah.
But yeah, no, it's I will say as well, I really appreciate you guys coming on like really early in the morning. We don't usually record podcasts this early. It feels weird even for me, like doing it at this time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys don't need to be up till like 1 a.m.
We made it work.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, I guess we don't usually start like doing the kind of talk about the results this early on, but because obviously we don't have like the most time, we'll kind of, I guess, talk about the top 15 before, like, as sort of starting off, and we're gonna go top 15 because there's two of us, I think me and Sean, who are actually in the top 15, and also like just generally this year, like I was really amazed by just how good so many of the films were that like at that point. So we got plenty to talk about, I think, with the 15. So yeah, I guess that would mean if we start with number 15, we'd start off with Clues by Penta. So yeah, would you like to talk a little bit about this?
Yeah, so I ended up making a 10 break entry for BRAWL using I got this this lot on eBay of 59 letter tiles. I think it might have even come from Denmark, got it ages ago, and I thought, maybe I'll find a use for these eventually. So I did now. Um, the originally, like, I kind of wanted to make a more standard kind of good serious entry, but we'd just been to Steinerai, and before when we were talking about the Brawl dates, we were kind of saying like, oh, make sure it's after Steinerai a bit. We want to have a bit of time to get ready and stuff after Steinerai. So by the time we got back from Steinerai, I think we only had like 3 days or something. And after you get back from a trip, you don't feel like immediately getting into preparing everything and whatever. So I didn't do anything. I didn't prepare at all before Brawl. So I was like, oh, I don't feel like it. Let me just make a 10 brick entry.
Yeah, I mean, again, as I said in the results stream, you don't need to have a ton of Lego to make something clever and interesting. So
Yeah, I mean, really, I was hoping like with a good enough idea, a good enough use of the theme, and hopefully one that not everyone else does. Like, I was thinking after I saw the finished product, I was like, I guess it could still rank. Like, the idea is unique, I hope. Going to the playlist, I was thinking, I really hope nobody else has a very similar concept and script. And luckily they didn't.
Yeah, I actually was like, it was interesting because obviously I was also in Steinway with you this year, and it really does feel like a conversation that we would have with someone from Steinway, even like AW Gamer. So yeah, it felt very much like a kind of almost like realistic conversation, I guess. We often talk about like how weird the English language is.
Yeah. We do have that in Germany. Yeah, we talk about how the English
did
language.
you see? Well, have you seen the Gallagher bit, like the stand-up comedy bit that's based? Oh, that's kind of similar.
That was brought up after the film being released, and I watched it because somebody mentioned it, and I was thinking to myself, yeah, I recognize this now that I see it. Like, it goes around on social media, I guess. And I was thinking, I have seen this before, but I wasn't thinking of it when I made the film. What I was actually consciously thinking of was one of my favorite filmmakers is Billy Wilder. And he does humor with involving like turns of phrase and stuff. And I mean, this is nowhere near as clever as something Billy Wilder would write, but he's got a film. He wrote a film called Ball of Fire, which has a character who's trying to learn like hip phrases, and I think it's sort of based on his own experience learning English. Because he came to America from Germany because of the war, and the story is that he learned English by listening to baseball games on the radio. So it's kind of that's what I was actually thinking of, even though it's kind of nothing like that film at all. It's much more like that stand-up bit, but the stand-up bit isn't what I was thinking of.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, we draw inspiration from a whole bunch of different places, so that's awesome.
Yeah,
I like how you've taken essentially 2 minutes of like tiles moving around on a flat surface and given it character and movement. Especially how like the letters change into other letters, and how it's not always them just going completely off screen and then coming back in. You do some clever things with the way the letters move quickly. So.
Did you shoot it in one go, or did you break it up into several?
It's shot in just one day. Yeah.
Crazy.
Okay, gotcha. Jeez.
I guess it's kind of
how
like a
far in the
one-shot
week
entry.
was that?
Yeah, it might have been the Friday, I think.
Oh my gosh.
But they just wanted Zach.
Yeah, it only took
pretty
like
much.
7 hours to shoot, and then I was thinking, I should have made something of this for Thack. Like, instead of killing yourself for all 24 hours during Thack, like this would have been such a great thing for Thack. But now I've already used up the concept for Brawl.
Yeah, you had to sacrifice Thack entry to make Brawl. I respect it, but
Yeah, I actually do.
yeah,
like,
no, I love this entry though.
I do like how adding on to what Graham was saying about the like the way that the tiles move. I really like how, you know, every sort of like cadence and kind of way that like every word is said, it kind of like, you know, it's animated around that. You know, it almost kind of reminds me a bit of like, you know, when you've got like lyrics to like a song and it's kind of like, you know, set to be like the, you know, with tempo, with like the way
there's a certain rhythm to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, it was tricky to try to think up like different ways to make the letters move to keep it being a new thing every time. But yeah, we probably shouldn't spend all day talking about my 15th place entry. Well, let's move along to Starbrick Studios in 14th place.
Yeah.
Johnny Thunder and the
5.5
Terror-Cotta
minutes.
Tomb.
You know, I think it's a testament to like Starbrick, with like his like Johnny Thunder films. They always feel like unique to each other, and they're always really enjoyable. This one I think was particularly good, and you know, you can really feel how much you know, Starbrick has kind of developed, I guess, like in terms of like production values.
Absolutely.
And, you know, I hate to say it, but like, you know, I guess maybe past the era of printed torsos, and it looks great.
Yes.
They all fall down the hole in the ground. Such a great shot.
Yeah, that shot is incredible. It's like it reminds me a
Yeah,
lot
that
of the
one
Lego
was
movie.
very. Yeah, I think that is pretty the direct inspiration, and it's pulled off. It's one of those things where, you know, when you look at something that very obviously you take inspiration from, it's so impressive in doing it physically. It's like, yeah, I don't care if that's directly the shot from the Lego movie. It's great, and that's insanely impressive. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Lego movie didn't even do it in real stop motion, so
It's true.
Who knows if there'll ever be a stop motion version of that?
I think they mentioned they did that shot twice. I think they weren't quite happy with it the first time, which is also crazy for Brawl.
Oh, okay.
You mean Starbrick for BRAWL?
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy. I don't think I'd ever reshoot anything for
Yes.
BRAWL. I just have to say, that's it.
Yeah, you really have to
Especially
weigh,
for a 5.5 minute film.
weigh your options when you're thinking of reshooting something for Brawl.
Yeah. However it comes out the first time, it's going in.
Yeah, it is actually funny because when I hear people say that kind of thing, I can't really recall that many times I've ever like reshot anything really, because that like, yeah, it's a lot to do. I feel like in animation. Yeah.
It sucks though because every time I reshoot something, without fail, it's much better the second time. So I just have that in my mind all the time, like, oh man, if I just reshoot this, it'll be a lot better.
Yeah.
With Starbricks though, I think it's
Yeah,
interesting they decided to do like a black background for most of it, which is really efficient with like set design.
Mhm.
You can kind of have everything fade into the cave and you don't have to build that much.
Yeah,
And you don't even really notice it. I'm only noticing it now.
that is clever, all right.
Yeah,
for
I think it's
BRAWL.
because the torch is effectively, you know, bright in the center and actually feels like an empty cavern. So yeah, you don't even and it's the background is effectively like blacked out perfectly. And it's also shot really low where it feels very natural, and it doesn't feel, you know, like the standard brick film like kind of detached overhead camera shot where it feels much more noticeable. So
I think that the lighting is really motivated, and it really kind of makes it feel, you know, spotlit, and it sells that idea. So you don't even think about it. You know, you see the kind of motivated lighting, and you kind of think, oh yeah, that is a cavern. You know, that's like, you just can't see what's beyond it. You know, like that. That illusion really, works. And I think in ways that, like, if you did not have that same kind of like lighting intentionality, if the lighting was a bit more kind of like bog standard and just like lit so you can see everything, you could have had that same kind of shot, and it wouldn't that kind of like black void would be a lot more noticeable, and it would feel like it was lacking. Yeah.
Where are those figures from? The terracotta figures. I mean, I assume they're customs. They have to be.
Yeah,
There's a
it's
link
some
in the
good
description for where you can purchase
Oh, is there?
them. The link doesn't seem to be working for me at the moment.
From AliExpress. Oh, okay. Apparently it's a sort of a sponsor. Literally. Okay. Well, there you go. Made a sponsorship.
brand deal for
Works.
Brawl.
Yeah.
Nice.
Coins.
Yeah. This should be marked down for no artistic integrity.
Yeah, exactly. The days of those arguments on the forums. Fun times. Cool. Yeah, I really like that. Very good.
I guess we'll move on to 13th place, which is Spirited Journey by IW Studios. Myself.
Who's that?
Just some guy, I guess. But yeah,
It's just somebody.
this was a film I really enjoyed making. Like, it was weird how just like chill the whole thing was, and I didn't stress about it at all. It just came out, and what usually happens is everything becomes way more complicated than I think it's going to be, and ends up being way longer than it needs to be. And this was like the exact opposite of everything. Everything was much easier than I thought it was going to be. Everything was much shorter than it's going to be, and it just works as like a tight project. And having enough time to actually edit it as well, with sound design, I felt like I was going back to the sort of, doing the kind of the BRAWL entries that I made, like in sort of like, with like Track Attract and Time for Pi, where I just kind of made shorter films that were just like tighter and that I feel like actually were complete. So yeah, I was really happy to have that again. I was really inspired by Steinway, like feeling like I really wanted to make another project again that was, a bit more involved. And yeah, I guess I'm really happy with that came out.
Yeah, I don't mean this as like it feels like in terms of the story, I could see this being done in a very amateur like sort of way, at least the story of it, but it's done with like just the perfect cinematography, the perfect pace, the perfect camera angles. That actually feels like I can see it in the hands of a lesser filmmaker, and he actually immerses you in the story. So I think it's done really well.
Yeah, you definitely stepped up your lighting game with this one. It looks great.
Absolutely. Also, I like the inclusion of the little sheep.
Also, it's tough to make a figure walk in that like skirt piece, so kudos on that.
Yeah, actually,
Yeah.
the skirt piece, come to think of it, is a callback to like 2015. It's just like a thing that I made like for the very first Bricks in Motion contest entry I ever made, which was the Transfiguration from the Darkness and Light contest in 2015. And it was like used for Jesus. And I just like hold on to a lot of the custom things that I make. And yeah, I think I've used it in like a bunch of films at this point. And actually, it might even go back to even further. I think that might actually be like the very first brick film I ever made. Even I had that. It's just like, yeah, that kind of works. Yeah, I think it was kind of one of those sort of things where I just wanted, doing something with like doing something set at night with the lighting and everything. That's always something which I'm like, I've done stuff in the past where it feels like it almost feels like it's a studio. Like it's like the lighting's a bit kind of, it's hard to get like sort of lighting to look convincing out at night, and being able to pull it off, the idea that it's like sort of moonlight, and have it very directional.
Sure.
So I was really happy with how that looked, and Getting stuff like with the ghosts like towards the end when they're sort of walking towards her, and then like it's light on one side and it's dark on the other. I guess sort of taking kind of that sort of thought of like how would it look also to make it kind of like more of a horror, a bit more spooky. And yeah, it's I'm really happy with how that sort of came off as well. And
doing a spooky vibe in Lego animation's a tough thing to pull off, and it works.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, when I was making it, I was kind of thinking, maybe this will end up being more Scooby-Doo than anything else, but that's fine,
I mentioned
that's not a bad place to be.
Definitely.
On the results call, I mentioned that it's like it's an efficient film between the editing and the shot choices. Like, it doesn't waste time. Like the protagonist cuts from one place to another, just between the edit and the cinematography. Like, yeah, you don't have to watch them walk every single step to get to every single place, which is something we always talk about. But it impresses me when I actually notice the editing of a brick film. Notice that it's done well. Because I feel like a lot of the time editing is pretty much just doing its job, or it's functional. But this feels a bit more intentional and good pace.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I'm glad that sort of came out, because I think that's definitely one of the big things that I always sort of intend with films I make. Like, is this like I want the editing to be good, and it's like one of those things where like I get quite critical of my films in the editing side of things. Something which I did is quite funny is I only have one brick stuff light, and it kind of worked out quite well when the car sort of breaks down. She then has the torch, but obviously it's not at the same time. I only had, but again, because I only have one, it meant that there's only one headlight working. And I actually kind of thought about it when I was making it. I was like, originally I was going to try and kind of like line up the car again and do like the sort of like the same shot again with like the light on the other side. But then I accidentally missed one frame after shooting it, and I was like, you know what? It's just gonna be one headlight then. And luckily, because the car is breaking down, it actually kind of, I don't think you would even question it. But yeah, I want to get more bricks off.
No, yeah, I thought that was intentional the entire time.
That is great.
I guess also because it's a no dialogue film, that means you can just like put images together however you want. You don't have to wait for all the dialogue to finish.
Oh, definitely, yeah. That really helps things. But yeah, I was very happy with how that came out, and yeah, thanks for
number 13. Let's
13,
go.
Yeah, but yeah, so we'll move on now then to number 12, which if I've got it correctly is Ziltrack.
Yeah.
Somebody get.
I really like this one. Order. Yeah.
A restaining order.
Restaining order.
Restaining order. I think it's the first time I even noticed that.
Well, Ziltrack said he had a typo, I think, originally. What did he accidentally put restraining order at the beginning, or as the title? I think he changed it.
Yeah,
I think he said somewhere on the forums that he
to match what it actually says on the title card in the film. Yeah, at some point.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it well, I don't know if it was restraining originally in the title or something else, but
I think it might have been like,
apparently it didn't.
Somebody get this guy rather than that guy.
Oh, okay.
But it was that guy in the film, so you wanted to match.
Makes sense. Yeah. I'll see what I put on the docs. Maybe that'll illuminate it. But yeah, no, this one again, you don't need a ton of Lego. It's just it's the tone of it, and it's the simplicity of it. I just really loved it.
It's like you're watching a stage play.
His animation is just so funny.
Yeah, I think so much of like the timing and everything, and I think that he knows like what Lego looks funny, like especially like the minifigures, like using the classic ones, really fits with the vibe of the the films he makes. And yeah, I think it's interesting. I feel like Clues is probably another example in the top 15, where like you say, you don't need a lot of Lego, and sometimes you can do stuff with very small amount of Lego, but really feel like there's a really great production value. Like this film feels like really well put together, and in a lot of ways this reminded me a lot of Blandier, his film, his last film that he did, which I've forgotten the name of, but yeah.
Yes, I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah, I will add that in the post. But yeah,
I think it's The Family Affair.
Yes, yeah, The Family Affair.
Yes,
yeah.
Yeah.
It kind of reminded me of that a lot, and yeah, it's
and we all love Family Affair.
yeah.
Yeah, we love family. We stand Family Affair in this house. I'm just looking at just random frames of this. I love the one where the monkey and the two other characters are popping out from the Christmas tree. Very funny. I'm sure that must have been not fun to set up and mask out, but no, it works. It was very funny. Or it's 5 characters in total at the end, or 5. But
yeah.
Oh yeah, and even the classic monkey.
Yeah, I was about to say the use of monkey always comes back into play. So congrats, monkey.
I think that this is I guess another example of someone who clearly understands cartoon comedy as well. You can see that there's that kind of just what are like classic visual gags that never get old. The things like that kind of that tree gag, and just like the general tone of it, like it's very clear there is that kind of sort of Looney Tunes kind of influence, and
but even then the animation isn't like big and over the top and zany or whatever. There's something about the sensibility of it. I'm not sure I can exactly articulate it. I think it just, here are these two characters doing a thing in a white expanse. There's something about it that just seems very classic, that I really.
Yeah, it's kind of ageless, isn't it? Somehow.
Yeah.
And I do really like the animation of like the way that he's kind of like being pulled away, like the way that he's kind
being
of moving.
suctioned.
Yeah, and that kind of like I don't know, the animation in that bit is really good. And then like how it like seamlessly transitions to like him actually kind of being a character animated that's like sort of moving on by itself. I thought that was like a really nice touch.
I guess it is like a brick film that could have been made many years ago, except for the fact that like this is a much more modern style of animating Lego.
For sure. Also, the best use of raindrops keep falling on my head since Spider-Man 2.
I do actually think it's kind of interesting that because I feel like it's something that is worth kind of noting is the idea of like you don't want to make stuff that is kind of just like a pastiche or just kind of mimicking something that already exists or a style that already exists. There is that kind of thing of taking the best of the kind of like sort of timeless kind of classics that exist, but also doing something with it that is unique to you, or that is kind of like taking the best of what we have now within brick filming, and this feels like a perfect kind of marriage of that, I think.
Yeah, and doing stuff in a wide expanse, the brick film community did not invent in the first place. So we talk about it feeling nostalgia to that the late 2000s era. The late 2000s era brick filming, and for people who've been around, that's what it feels kind of more nostalgic towards. But like it's universal enough, and it's a simple enough concept that I don't think this is even necessarily taken from that.
I mean, I think that something I would say, I don't want to get carried away with this conversation, but something that I do actually think about when it comes to Expanse, and I don't know if this has been sort of mentioned before, but like in the era that it came out, that was when it was like not quite kind of like HD was like standard, but like it was when like widescreen was becoming more standard. And I think there was maybe this thought that like if they have white, especially with like compression, that it looks like it has better production values because it's like you don't notice the pixelation as much when it's white versus when it's like dark.
Maybe.
But yeah.
There was definitely a relationship between wide expanse and widescreen in the old days. You know, like when 4:3 was still standard and everyone was shooting on the QuickCam 4000, like people intentionally made their wide expanse films widescreen.
Interesting.
But before I get carried away on that tangent, because you know I could, let's move on to number. This is 11 next, right?
Yes, it is.
Mhm.
Yeah. So that's
Yes.
Night of the Living Bread by Silas Hegan. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. Yeah. This was great. Really fun. Again, kind of, I guess, you know, it has a very classic kind of feel to it. But I absolutely love the animation of the actual kind of like, you know, doing the bread is really great. And I don't think I've really seen that kind of animation much before. And yeah, really charming, great film. I really like this one.
Yeah, I think this is only his second Brawl. Silas Egan hasn't been around on Bricks in Motion for very long, but this is a fantastic entry. One of a real highlight in the contest, I thought. And I mean, I loved it because I love the old Frankenstein films that this is referencing, and it's doing it really well, like the black and white and all the lightning flashes and the sets, and it's in 4:3, so it's all, you know, it's ticking all the boxes. It's not just doing it at a very sort of surface level, missing the fine details way of like homaging the old Frankenstein films. It's doing it particularly well.
Yeah, I like the way that they sculpted the bread monster at the end. It wasn't just like your average, like, you know, Play-Doh insert character. It was really really well sculpted, and I like the, you know, the vomiting effect and all that.
Yeah, I mean, man,
Yeah.
that shot when they reveal the bread, like, it's the bread is animated so well, like,
Mhm.
it almost has like it almost has like almost like a CG effect somehow, like the way it's animated. It you know, you kind of feels like that kind of like a different medium, but in a kind of like a really good way.
does.
And
There- There's such like an intricacy to the facial, you know, whether it be the mouth or the eyes. And I think also as well, it being in black and white helps like sell it a little bit more because of the shadows of it. It kind of obscures some of the probably the finer details of it that can make it, you know, more obvious. It sells it a bit more.
I don't know if this is something that you'd have in America, but it actually kind of reminds me of the those sausages. Like there's this like brand in the UK. There's like there's like these ads. I think it was Pepperami, and it's like this like animated sausage, and with a really kind of like obnoxious ugly face, and it just reminds me. It makes me think of that.
You might have to edit
Oh
in
my
the clip
God.
here.
Yeah.
What
It's
is
like
this
the most
thing?
British thing I've ever heard of.
That's
Yeah, I think Silas Egan was
Okay.
in the Discord talking about, like, you know, it took him hours to do one shot with the clay,
Mhm.
which of course I can believe that because it's so intricate.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Penta, you just like this film because the guy has the Dr. X face.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering,
Yeah.
is it actually animated on wands, the bread, or is it?
No, it seems to be twos.
Oh yeah, I've just
Yeah.
gone frame by frame. Actually, it's twos. Yeah.
Yeah.
It just looks really. It looks very like fluid and.
It does look, yeah, really particularly fluid, but I guess, you know, we always do say that, like, if you do 12 FPS well enough, then it can look like 15 on ones.
Yeah.
It can look, you know, fluid enough, except when the camera moves.
It's true.
Right, so should we head over to the top 10 with
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
into 10th
10,
place.
baby.
We've got the Self Improvement Plan by Sea Lego Films, and also new moderator Sea Lego Films. Congrats. Yeah, this was great. I found it very funny. there is a funny thing, I think, like, you know, because a couple of us, like, you know, will watch some of the films together, and we do kind of we always enjoy it when something happens, and we kind of like say, like, sort of like joke about it happening, and then it actually happens.
Yeah, we were watching this on the group watch, and towards the end you're kind of saying like, man, wouldn't it be so funny if this sort of thing started to happen, and then it did start to happen. We're like, oh, he's actually gonna do it.
Yes.
Yeah, so like,
And,
yeah,
I mean,
it's
I guess we can
funny
spoil. It's the
throughout,
fact
but-
that to spoil it, yeah, we're like, I hope he falls in love with the giant clay blob, and then he did, and then got very excited.
I see
Yeah.
your cat.
Yeah, I know. He's blurred out in the background. He'll make an appearance on my lap at some point, I'm sure. But he's just jumping around on the headboard of my bed. But that's it. Yeah, I like this one, and again, the sharpied on faces and everything work perfectly. You know, with the comical abs, it feels entirely of a piece. It
Yeah.
works really well.
Yeah, particularly the ending was just so funny. It's always good to have a particularly funny ending, so people leave with a great impression.
Yes. Yeah, leave on a high note.
Because I know I've made various Brick films where the ending is just like, whatever. I couldn't think of a good ending, so it just ends. And it just sucks.
I remember, like, there's one FAQ entry that I did, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna shoot it. I did the worst thing, is that I saved the most complicated thing for last.
Mhm.
And then of course, 4 a.m. I'm like, I can't. I mean, I think I maybe portrayed what the twist ending that I had, but it did not feel like, oh, I communicated whatever this is effectively. You end on that weird, awkward note. So having a strong ending always helps.
It's
Yeah,
actually,
if I have a more complicated film for contests like this, I do try to shoot the most complicated shot first.
I actually do find it kind of interesting. Like, I know that C Lego has mentioned before about, like, his process when it comes to, like, the stories and the films he makes. That quite often the main plan is just to try and be funny, and sometimes like, he'll say that, like, the films don't make any sense, but if they're funny, then they do it, and like
They do, yeah.
I think I don't know. I really feel like films like this really do kind of pull off well, and even if the plan is mostly just to like be funny, I mean, it exceeds that very very much so, but it still very much kind of works as a kind of like plot, and
You get the narrative.
yeah.
For a second, when he said the process, I thought you were talking about animating on the floor.
That's what I
Which,
thought you were going to.
please, see Lego, like, get a desk. It's going to destroy your back.
Like, I get
Like-
some people don't have space for that kind of stuff. And that's fair. But I feel like if I were in that situation, I would put a piece of plywood on my bed or do literally anything else rather than put it on the floor.
Dude, I'm about to turn 28, and literally, I'm already having back problems. To be fair, some of that is from holding a giant news camera on my shoulder for the past 4 years, but still, you will develop back problems
Holding
if you
that
do stuff like laying
Police
on the
helicopter on
bed
your,
for so
on your
long.
shoulder.
Yeah, exactly me. Yeah, yeah, there we go.
See, Lego did post a Brawlumentary, which is worth a watch.
Oh yeah.
Always
Yeah.
nice to see people posting Brawlumentaries and Tacumentaries.
Dude, every year I take behind the scenes footage and I never make anything out of it.
That's fair. You always think you're gonna use it, and you're like, I'm so exhausted.
Yeah, it's like day one I take a ton of footage, day two I take a little bit of footage, and then after that it's like
Yeah.
nothing.
And I mean,
Like, what am I doing?
Yeah,
I'm
too
just wasting
busy.
time.
Yeah.
in 2021, I for the FAQ that year, which is the last FAQ that I didn't host, I went through this whole effort of editing, well, not editing, like filming a bunch of like documentary stuff of like, and that was the only time that I kind of completely gave up, like before the halfway point with the actual entry, So I that's like my relationship with like documentary and documentaries is just like I'm probably not actually going to be making the film if I'm thinking about documenting it and stuff. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think I haven't fully accepted that to make a successful documentary during one of these is it can't be like super polished, and I want to make it polished.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's one of those like extraneous stuff that sometimes you get too caught up on. Like I've made posters for Brickfilms that I've never finished. Like because I'm like, oh, I have a great idea for a poster, and then
I think everyone has.
I think everyone has.
That's like every
posters.
that's like every 16-year-old in brick filming is like, oh man, I got this great concept. Here's a poster. Oh, now I gotta make it.
Yep.
Right?
And just now I actually have to make it. Yeah. So
But yeah.
Let's talk about ninth place, Redemption by Jacob Crow.
Redemption.
Yeah. So
Really solid entrant. They always have great stuff.
it's kind of like surreal to me to see a film that's so kind of like British. I guess if I describe it, like I mean, all the voices.
The second most British
film in the playlist.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Same
Yeah.
joke.
Yeah, it's actually just really interesting to me to kind of see something that's like, I mean, it's shot very kind of like very sort of naturally, and has a kind of like this kind of gritty sort of drama feel to it, and it's kind of surreal seeing a brick film where like all the voice acting sounds very realistic, but it's also British somehow, like, yeah, I don't know, that kind of, I think the first time I watched this, that kind of did distract me a bit, but it is actually very good. I really like. I love how it looks, and as I said before, the voice acting is really good throughout it. It's very kind of. It feels very realistic, yeah, it's a really solid entry. I really like this one.
Yeah, and I'm just going through some of the frames. Like you have just little details like the street lights have, not like I mean they're digital lights, but they're very subtle and they just add more to the frame. And even just like the simplicity of like some of the buildings with the brick texture on it. And yeah, all the windows, everything in it just like it just fills out the world, but not in a very show-offy. Oh wow, look at this amazing set design.
I think
sort of way.
I think the streetlights are
The
real.
streetlights look practical to me.
Are they?
Yeah, especially it racks focus and they behave as you'd expect.
And they reflect on the bricks behind them.
I take it back. My fault.
But yeah, the rows of brick buildings, yeah, it looks so Britishy.
I think my favorite shot is the one where you can see his eyes in the rear view mirror.
Oh yeah. That's that one people have mentioned. Yeah, a bunch. That one. That is a very good one. Yes.
Yeah, just incredible cinematography and set design throughout this.
Yeah, I mean, actually the cinematography of this film reminds me a lot of Revenge Song by, is it Harry and Billy Brick?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, Harry and Billy Brick.
very kind of gritty, similar kind of like look to it.
Tiny little detail. I love how the villain is wearing like just the softest looking sweater. Yeah, I just like that.
Should we talk about number 8?
I guess so.
Yeah, cool.
8.
Genesis.
Genesis by Adventures Ensue.
Yeah. I'm just like,
Yeah, I love the vibe of this one. This one is so good.
yeah, the colored lighting, especially in some of the sequence. I'm just skipping through various frames. Yeah, just the deep bathe, and it's also colored lighting in brick films is often sometimes misused in that like, okay, I have my scene and I'm just gonna make all the lights that would normally just be cover the scene all like just natural light. Oh, I'll just make it colored, it'll be good. But no, like even in the shots looking at it of the scientists looking off to the side, it uses shadow as well, and it feels more dynamic than just bathing the scene in one specific color. So I really like that.
I gotta say, I mean, I'm watching that. Like, I have a slightly different setup to what I usually have, and I have this up on quite a big TV, and it looks incredible on TV. I can
on the
really,
big screen.
you can really
On
see the
IMAX.
kind of like the kind of grain like effect that he's added to it, and it looks really really nice. And yeah, like it's a very crisp film, I guess. Like visually, it's like just it's a really really breathtaking film, and like you were saying, like with the colored lighting and everything, it's something which like you have to kind of have like the right kind of experience and know what you're doing when it comes to kind of like gel lighting and what works and what doesn't work for like specific shots or whatever, and you can really you can see how clearly he understands just how to make it work,
I
and
think especially early on in the film, the framing is also just really, really good on all the shots, all the blocking and
Yeah.
the shots that he chose to do. I like that bird's eye shot of the figure on the table.
I was just reminded that when we were at Steinerai, we got to watch some past Brawl entries on the big screen. And we watched Danju, that was one of them.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, it was cool to see them on the big screen, and especially cool to hear the audio in a theater. It seemed to me that the theater had particularly good audio setup. It was just so loud, and like the music and the sound design of Danju just was fantastic.
That's awesome. Yeah, good to hear. I'll tell my brother he did a lot of work on the music, especially in that one.
Oh, that's awesome.
Nice.
I'm also talking about cinematic, and the cinema. I would like to mention that Adventures Ensue is also, famously has worked on both Sinners and also the Odyssey, which is quite amazing. And I cannot believe that when I had Adventures Ensue on the podcast last year, I forgot to mention anything about Sinners. And like afterwards, I was like, "Why on earth did I not mention that?"
Because Cobalt.
Yeah,
True.
screw Sinners. We need Cobalt.
Way more relevant, yeah.
I like the light painting in this too, and it's definitely becoming more popular in Brickfilms, but it was done very well here.
But I don't think we'd be showing this one at Steinerai because it's too violent.
It is pretty violent, yeah.
Right on the edge, I would say.
Yeah, there was a moment of like, this is pushing, the violence, level, but it doesn't revel in it too much,
Yeah.
Okay, I guess we should move on to seventh place, which is Osteonemesis by Joko. Yeah, I really love this one. This one's hilarious.
Yeah.
There was a lot of like real like laugh out loud moments, and kind of quite a different film for Joko. I feel like I don't know. This is very unique.
On its face, like doing a 3-minute kind of ad like this, where it's variations of all kind of the same joke, and also taking that joke and escalating it is like a very dangerous thing, because like the joke can get old really fast, but then if you escalate it, then it feels like, all right, this is getting too, I don't want to say silly, but like too, I don't, there's something about it where you can tell where the joke escalates to, that it just doesn't, I don't know, it loses its charm. But this one manages to ride the line very well. And, have a little, I mean, obviously a more like darker tone, but not feel like, oh, wow, we're being edgy. Yeah, there's something about this one that really made me laugh. So,
yeah. One of the funniest entries, absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah, I love the pace of Joko's entries is always super fun. I feel like I'm on some kind of drug every time I watch one. In a great way.
And then And according to him, he's never partaken. So that's not an influence.
Brick
I think
filming
it's-
is his drug.
I think it's probably
There you
like,
go. Exactly.
you know, it's probably something to do with being from Cornwall, I reckon. But no, he like, I really like, you know, I think Joker has always kind of shown that like he has a real knowledge of comedic timing, and it's kind of, I think what kind of makes this one stand out, I think is I think this is probably like one of the times he's really made like it's like something that's purely like comedy and not like, you know, like going for like, you know, gag heavy and yeah, I think he puts it off really well. I'm always a fan of minifigures kind of standing still and like slowly kind of moving, like
Leaning on the tag.
leaning on the tag. That's always really funny.
Yeah.
And yeah, no,
But it's so fast paced on like changing setup. You know, every couple of seconds it's a new set or a new like green screen arrangement and stuff happening. That's really impressive to me.
Yeah, I wouldn't know how to approach like making something like
Yes,
this.
same here.
I like to have all my stuff storyboarded and have a really good plan, and maybe he did, but there's so much going on.
I actually really
Yeah,
like
it
the
just-
the studio
Also,
set up like kind of shot as well, where it kind of like, you know, it cuts away from the actual ad, and then you just got the green screen with the
Yeah, small rig should pay him.
yeah, and the small rig, like it's like a really good size to kind of mimic like a studio light. It's like kind of like
that's
studio
pretty
light
clever.
in brick film form.
Yeah, to show the actual gear like that.
Also, in looking at the video, in the next to the description is a quiz that says, "Is Osteonemesis right for you?" Apparently, YouTube has a quiz feature now that the Joko has added. You can.
Oh.
You can
I
take the
watched
quiz
the
if
ad and now I have
osteonemesis
no
is the
choice.
Correct.
Oh,
for you.
he added that himself. I immediately thought it was just some AI thing, like thinking that it's a real.
I was
ad
wondering that for
video.
a second. Yes. Yeah, because I think YouTube Auto. There are some videos that automatically adds chapters, I guess now.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
I guess that's a shame of the internet now that you see people doing interesting things and it's just you immediately assume it's AI.
It's true.
I tried the quiz and I got it wrong.
Oh no.
You should try it yourself, the quiz, and
Okay.
find out if osteonemesis is right for you.
Okay.
But yeah, I guess we'll move on to
Yeah.
sixth place.
I like that entry a lot.
Yeah, I really like it. It's pretty good. A Rabbit's Egad Tale, by Ethan Monstrosity. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. Yeah, this was a really cool one. Quite unique. With some really nice kind of set design and just kind of like, yeah, just a really cool vibe. I really like this one.
This is one of the most unique entries in the playlist, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, there's nothing.
This is the
else
one
like
that surprised me most.
Yeah, it's got a ton of really creative shots, and I think the color palette is really pleasing too. I do wonder if the shifting aspect ratio has any rhyme or reason. I couldn't figure it out.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I
your
don't
shots
know
are
about
very
that one,
fine.
but
And something that I think is great about this is that I know he's mentioned in the Discord that he is inspired by Stanley Kubrick's visuals. Like, you know, it's kind of like Sharkman Shark if you squint in certain places. But what's cool about it is it's a completely different tone to Stanley Kubrick's films. You know, like he's taken influence from some of the visual stuff, but like it's completely different. Not just like a close copy or anything.
It is
You know,
kind of.
it'd be easy to not even like catch on to that it's influenced by Stanley.
I mean, that's kind of what you want to see. Definitely, is like if someone's taking inspiration from someone like from Stanley, like it's you kind of want to see what their spin is, what their take is on something, and you know, use that inspiration to kind of find out their own, you know, look. And yeah, I can definitely see the kind of influence from Stanley. In just I think something about the way, like, I mean, you've got some of the lighting choices definitely, but also I think the sort of shot compositions and just like there's something about the way certain things are shot, and like characters are framed that feels very kind of influenced by that, but also, it doesn't feel like he's just like looked at a shot and was like, I'm going to do a shot like this kind of thing.
Yeah, I want to do that.
Yeah. It feels like he's taken that influence and made his own thing, which is really cool to see. And as you said, it's tonally very different.
Yeah, going back to the aspect ratio thing, just looking through it, I get the end of the vibe that it's literally just here's kind of the width of the all the elements that are in the frame. I'm just going to use the aspect ratio that fits it the most, even if it's just kind of going all over the place. And also helps that, and they feel like entirely different like setups, so it doesn't feel. I mean, it kind of bounces all over the place in terms of
almost like panels
aspect ratio, but it doesn't feel incoherent.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, or even like going to a museum and seeing. Or going to a museum and seeing different paintings, they're all in different sized frames.
Yeah,
sure.
And if that thought kind of feels, and I don't know how intentional this was, but that thought kind of feels, of a piece with the tone of the film, where it's just like, hey, here's this beautiful landscape, here's this beautiful landscape, here's this kind of weird abstract thing, and going from different aspect ratios, along the same lines as paintings.
I think
it's certainly not a bad thing, and it feels more intentional with the shot, with the 3 different like shots all in one. It's towards the beginning.
I mean, essentially, what this film is a living picture book, because that's what we have at the beginning of the film. The picture, the book kind of opens up. So I kind of think that I could, maybe read into this too much, but I do kind of see it as being a kind of thing of like, within this book there's lots of different images and they are different sizes. That would make a lot of sense.
And they feel like dioramas as well, as that's something like looking at, even there's a frame of the elements that are floating in the air, but they're very obviously held up by like the clear pieces. Generally, that kind of rubs me the wrong way. I'm like, we'll mask out the stuff, but this feels like a diorama where that feels organic to it. And if the artificiality, even though it kind of feels like, hey, here's, we're out in nature, the artificiality, it works in that context.
Yeah, I like how whimsical it feels. The tree design with all the squares, and it's very creative. I like this one a lot.
Yeah,
sort of like different mocks you'd see at a convention, where obviously you're going to have to be able to see the clear supports when you see a mock at a convention.
I think that there's something about it that I think it plays into the kind of different aspect ratios sort of thing really well. Is that every kind of scene feels very different and has a very different vibe to the other. Some feel like a nice kind of sort of nature scene, and then others are a lot more abstract and surreal, and so it's fitting in these different kind of like tones, right? And I think it's just a really cool vibe. I really like the kind of like concept of these like blocks of like houses or whatever they are, kind of like floating around or being like a tree. It's a really interesting film.
Yeah.
Shall we move on to Overflow, 5th place entry?
Yeah, the top 5 now.
Ooh, nice.
Top 5.
So we have Overflow by World of Shrimpy. Nice to always see World of Shrimpy return. And this one is absolutely incredible. Like in terms of just like the rain effects, and there's so many different rain effects. Like I love. I know this is like just like a specific detail, but like the drops of rain inside the building when the bucket, and like it really feels like you really feel the sense of like the world is there, right? Everything feels like kind of
that feels very inspired. For one, just the pieces, but also like that as a concept, like very few brick filmers even think to put in something like that. But just a little detail like that is great.
Yeah, it's
great to see World of Shrimpy back after Quiet Extinction last year for BRAWL, which is really good.
Yeah, which
Yeah,
also
he seems to know the value of a strong opening shot between last year's one and this year's one.
Yes. Yeah. Again, I think I mentioned this in the results call, but yeah, the use of water in multiple different forms throughout the entries this year, whether it be the practical one, physically spraying the set, or doing it digitally, or in the catch, which was in the later ranking entries, all done by actual pieces. Yeah, a whole bunch of different variations of how we use water each year, or in the entries this year.
Yeah, I really like the opening, and I think that he has a really good understanding of setting up a tone, and I think this is something especially difficult to do in in a contest when you've got you've got a deadline to meet. It all kind of feels like the type of stuff that on the surface is it's not essential to the plot, right? But having that kind of tone, and just kind of setting yourself up for that. I don't know. I think it's done really well on this.
You're right. It would be very easy to say, "Oh, I don't need this water dripping part for Brawl. I'll just cut that." But it's nice. It just adds to the atmosphere and everything.
Yeah, it's weird in that we talk about efficient storytelling, and it's a thing where once you pass over into, okay, I've told the story in the most efficient way, then you can go back to adding little details like that, and that shows to how much foresight goes into it, because you want to cut extraneous stuff just a person walking if you don't need it. But then then you can go back and be like, okay, well, how can I flesh out this world a little bit, assuming you have the time to do it. And luckily there are little details like that actually kind of expand the world, beyond just efficient storytelling. Now we can move on to world building, which is great.
I think it's just a really great way to establish a kind of sense of geography within a space, because I think it would be very easy to kind of think that you could have an establishing shot of just pouring rain, and then immediately cut to just the guys inside the facility, without anything in between that, but and that would kind of be expected from I guess BRAWL especially. Well, having the establishing shot at all is kind of the impressive thing, but having that kind of sense of geography of space where you have the rain coming in, and then immediately we see that kind of the droplets coming in. It just kind of establishes this kind of thing straight away to the viewer, that this is within this world, and it just connects those things just so brilliantly, and it's little things like that that really show, I think, an understanding of filmmaking.
I like the use of VFX in this one. I think a lot more even than the previous BRAWL entry that he did. They're a lot more subtle, and just the little blinking lights on the printed control panels, and the way that they do the floating cars. There's just a lot of really good uses of VFX that I think are almost invisible, and they enhance the production value a lot.
And the digital face animation looks great as well.
Yeah.
That's really hard to do well in time contests as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even things at the end, that overhead shot of the two soldiers coming into the room with the lights on their guns. There's a cable in there that had to be painted out, but I can't find it.
One thing I do think it is kind of worth mentioning when you're getting so high up the ranks, and those tough decisions to be made for what ranks over what and stuff. And obviously films like this and some other ones, they look so impressive, but I do think there's something to be said about the pacing or the structure.
I was thinking about that. Yes.
Where there's a lot of really impressive stuff to set it all up at the start, but I feel like there's a lot of stuff happens very quickly at the end, sort of crammed in a way, and then the middle, there's a lot of sort of back and forths as one big block in the middle.
Yes, there's two alternatives. I think there's either you cut down the middle act so that it gets from point A, from you know, a short opening to a short ending with a short middle, or, and I don't know if this is a timing thing, you know, wasn't able to do this, have the ending be a bit more fleshed out so it feels more evenly balanced in terms of the length of the acts. That is the one thing that probably kind of hindered this from being further up, is the second the conversation does kind of grind the whole pacing to a halt. That being said, everything else is I don't want to say to a halt. I think it is a decent conversation. And again, I think it would have been more okay if the last act was fleshed out as one of the two possible alternatives. But if you're looking at stuff to say, okay, why is this ranking over X or Y? You know, it's stuff like that. And but it's also, it means the film is operating on such a high level of quality that you're looking at, okay,
Yeah,
this is an issue. Yeah. And you're treating it like as a real, you know, like film, you know?
yeah. Yeah, when you're getting this high, you do have to look at like the smallest things to try and choose what's going to rank over what.
But I know for like, you know, when it gets to that point, you know, anything beyond this kind of point is going to be, you know, extremely good, and it's going to be difficult to kind of like, you know, choose one over another a lot of the times. And yeah, so
And
like,
you know,
the
I
better
have
the
mentioned
film,
before in the podcast, it feels weird to criticize some of the highest ranking ones, but I do feel like people, observers looking in from the outside, they want to know these sort of things. They want to know the answers to the questions of like, why didn't this rank higher? You know, sometimes, but you know, sometimes
It's worth thinking about the thought process. Yeah.
yeah. But all that being said, though, it's one of the most impressive entries to the contest.
Absolutely.
Incredible
Like
sets of
it's fit for a
cinematography and
reason.
effects
So
and
yeah,
everything.
I mean, like, yeah, I'd say even if we do have, you know, some critiques on some things, like it's still incredible, you know, a really incredible film that like
yeah.
deserves to be in the top 5, definitely. But yeah, I guess we'll move on now to 4th place, the Wolf by Flannel Shirt Guy. This was one which I feel like immediately watching it was like, yeah, this is just extremely good on so many levels.
The funniest entry of the whole year. I laughed my head off during this. This is great.
Yeah, one of my favorites for sure.
It's really hard to kind of like really explain what makes like comedy work and what doesn't. You just have to kind of see it, right? But like, I do think that there is just something about the kind of really good time, like the extremely good timing, and the voice acting, and the animation that goes with that. That just, it's so expertly put together, and just, you know, it hits as it's supposed to hit, in ways which I think some people might struggle to do if they don't consider all these things, right? And yeah, like it like, I think pretty much every joke pretty much lands, and yeah, it just, it's impressive that it works the way it does.
Yeah.
There's I think I said this in the results call, is I can see this in some, like, I can see the version of this that is more amateur and obnoxious. And especially with like the meta jokes, which like these days, especially, you know, in the days of Deadpool, people like love the meta humor and like, oh, breaking the fourth wall, oh, it's a brick film type joke. You know, the jokes about like the composer, or not the composer, the conductor, you know, that fourth wall breaking stuff. I could see the version of this just being so incredibly obnoxious, but there's something, it hits. I think it's, for one, it's a strong voice performance. Like, he's given it his all. I can hear the version where it's like somebody who doesn't have the voice acting or comedic experience writing lines that they're like, oh, this is meta, this is so funny, but they don't and they're more so just saying the lines without just imbuing the spirit of the necessary energy. But he sells it because of the voice, and it makes a lot of those fourth wall breaking jokes work. So yeah,
I mean,
And of course, he's taking influence from Looney Tunes, which is like one of the best things to take influence from.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like the pinnacle of cartoon humor, but also Mel Blanc voice acting. Like, the best cartoon voice acting. I think there's a nod to the Dover Boys in this, which has some of the funniest voice acting in any cartoon.
I do think that, like, watching again, watching these as we talk, and I have these on mute. It is extremely funny just to watch as well. Like, 'cause it's just like, it's just so funny to watch, just to look at.
Yeah,
Like the animation.
Entertaining,
is so,
fun to watch. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that is kind of like an important thing as well. Is that, like, with when it comes to comedy, like Brickfilms, everything has to hit just right. The voice acting has to hit just right, but the animation has to match the energy as well. Because there's definitely been situations where you've got like really great voice acting, and then the animation and like the kind of like the editing just doesn't quite do the most it can with that voice acting, and like it just
in my head I'm thinking of again the version where the most zany voice or the most zany animation to fit the voice acting is just the two characters just like raising their arms up and down and like swaying back and forth, and that's it. But it doesn't have the dynamic energy of this. You can tell this is very intentionally and meticulously animated to fit the tone. So
like,
and also you can tell
it's some of the best animation in the contest. And it's not, obviously there's different ways to approach like best animation. It doesn't always have to just be what's the smoothest, what's the most fluid. Like, this is just the funniest. It's so entertaining to watch the animation.
I just think it's incredible how many things this film pulls off, and manages to not be cringe. Like, there's concepts like the whole thing of like, oh, he they film him and he says something bad and then he gets cancelled. Like that kind of thing could have been so obnoxious and bad.
I could imagine that in a worse way. Yeah.
And yet, like, he just knows like the way to make it work. Yeah.
Also, I love in it looks like it's probably maybe taken a little inspiration from like Dylan Woodley, the one shot of it's at like 4 minutes or so, the very realistic shot of the wolf man with the actual videoed mouth. It taken inspiration, but it just goes so over the top with just how grotesque it looks that it made it. That's why it made me laugh beyond just, oh, I'm doing the thing that assuming it's from that, but like the Pokeball and joke. It's you push it further and you make it your own, and it's great.
I think that kind of could also be. I feel like I've seen similar kind of gags and stuff like Smiling Friends, which could also be kind of like a sort of reference as well.
Maybe.
I was also thinking maybe Smiling Friends.
I was thinking Annoying Orange.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. I guess I blocked out Annoying Orange.
Are we at the point in time now where like that's being reevaluated because it's old? Are people pro Annoying Orange now?
Ironically,
I hope not.
Digging up old Tobuscus.
Dude, I remember back. Well, he's a different story.
The less said about Tobuscus, the better. Yeah.
Once again, I am ashamed to have my most popular brick film be a recreation of Tobuscus. Honestly, I haven't even thought about that for a couple years, and it's gotten even worse since then. So never. Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. Anyways, comedy on the internet always changes, I guess.
I mean, you can't talking about cringe. I was still watching Nostalgia Critic until changed the channel which is 2018. So we've all done really cringe things. It's fun.
How embarrassing.
Look, man, people can learn a lot from Nostalgia Critic. Yeah, gosh, the Nostalgia Critic. Anyways,
should we hit to the
The
top?
Wolf is not cringe, so there we go. Yes, I think we'll go down a rabbit hole if we keep talking.
Right.
Well,
Shinobi.
speaking of, Shinobi.
Speaking of
Oh, we
cringe,
finally made it.
I don't know why I said speaking of. As soon as I said, I was like, oh wait, no, that makes it sound like speaking of cringe. Let's talk about Shinobi. No,
the process of making
was
Shinobi was cringe.
Okay, explain why it was cringe.
No, I was very surprised that it got third, mostly because this one is one of the worst experiences I've had making one of these. We had such a good plan and it's such a good script that my friends and I wrote, and when it got to like actually making it, I got done with pretty much everything that I have, like the middle section there, super late, and I was like, I don't have enough time for. There's going to be like a whole bunch of stuff at the beginning and a whole bunch of stuff at the end. That was like basically the entire motivation for the conflict at the beginning, and then like the conflict and resolution at the end, and it was all like really good stuff. And then I just was like, okay, I don't have time for this. I built like a whole set piece for the end and for the beginning stuff. And when I got to like filming it, this is my first time filming in 4:3, which I really enjoyed. But I'm also not used to building the sets for 4:3. And so there's all this vertical room that I didn't account for in like the interior shots. And so when I started like blocking scenes, I was like, this is not gonna work. Like all of the stuff that I have in my head it needs to be like the set needs to be reconstructed, and I already spent, hours making that one. Not to mention there was gonna be kind of a larger fight sequence at the end, which I think is super ironic that like I decided to make a ninja fight brick film and didn't even get to the ninja fight. And it's kind of poetic.
Look to your
in a way that
core.
I enjoy.
Yeah, your core. You had a visceral reaction against ninja fights.
Exactly.
Even when making
I
a ninja
tried,
fight.
okay?
You essentially you did everything that like that certain ninja fight films fail to do, which is the setup before the fight. So
like, to be honest,
Yeah.
like that's kind of why I wanted to do this genre, is because I was like, okay, you've got like some great films in this genre, Kurosawa, obviously. And I think it's a genre that's not explored to its full extent in brick filming, because people like just take their Ninjago figures and mash them together, and that can be okay, but like let's put a story to it. And so that's kind of what I wanted to try to do, is to really pay attention to the filmmaking and to the story, and then kind of add that into it. I just didn't get to add in the fight. So
No,
but I'm still very
don't you
proud of
see?
how
No,
it
there
turned out.
there is story in Ninjago Brick Films. There's a whole monologue at the beginning about lore. So that's
Yeah,
all
I
that
don't want to rag
matters.
on him too much.
Also, I know.
Yeah,
I will.
yeah,
Okay, I will take my snarky comments and say, and actually, like, genuinely, Ninjago Brick Filmers, if you've never watched Kurosawa, watch any of Kurosawa's films. Just watch any of those, like for inspiration. I think you'll like them.
I mean, Chris, you could say what you want now. You're not the admin, so
I'm still on staff. All I will say is during the when I was announcing, there were a couple comments that I had in my head where I was like, I'm not the admin anymore, I could say this, and then pulled myself back last second. But yeah, no, it's no, go watch Kurosawa films.
I'm very happy with how
What
the
were you
set
saying?
design came out for the main castle portion.
yeah.
And it was really fun to light. That's part of what also tanked my original idea, is the fact that I spent way too long lighting every shot. I think we were mentioning like Moonlight earlier with your film, William. It's tough to like get it to look good and like realistic. And so I had like a pretty powerful light pretty far away for the moonlight to get those harsh shadows. Yeah, and then you have to get the like ambient light on the background, which is it's a large like 7 foot black paper backdrop with some blue gelled uh, studio lights on it, and then of course all the practical lights. I had to light so many windows and doors and the fire that's in most of the shots in the opening scene. So
It's probably the best lighting and use of color in the contest. Really
thanks, yeah.
pops.
I
Yeah.
loved I added like that red like tree pretty late in the set design, and I think it really ties a lot of things together.
Yeah, I really love that. I really love that shot early on when it's like that kind of extreme wide like kind of lens when he's got the sword and the sword looks so massive. You know, the katana is like at the camera. That's
Yeah,
great.
that was one of the shots I had in my head when we were writing this, and I'm glad I still got to add it, even if the opening doesn't make quite as much sense. um, but and then my brother, when we were trying to like do damage control, like on the last day of the contest almost, I was like, all right, I don't know how to end this. Like I don't want it to feel disjointed. I want it to feel like complete and intentional. And so, you know, we were coming up with kind of gag endings that we could do, and this one like really was heavy-handed on the close theme. I was like, well, what if he like enters and finds something super embarrassing, and he just like kind of slowly closes the doors? So, and I think it was my
Yeah.
brother who was like, yeah, just have him like taking a bath, and we gave him like the little ninja action
Yeah, I
figure.
think that was something that like I think you had mentioned something along those lines. So I probably like noticed that more because you had said something. I think I would have maybe suspected that it was cut out, but also it's like it feels organic. That it doesn't feel like totally, oh, this is like oh, we didn't have time ending. I think you did the best job based on that context, that you could.
Yeah, and part of that is like taking stuff that I did have filmed after this moment and like just cutting it completely because I was like, okay, well, I don't want to use like everything I have just because I have it. Like, let's cut back a little bit and then redo the ending so that it actually fits.
It does kind of make sense because I guess I was sort of wondering, like, because from what you were posting in the Discord during Brawl, I had the impression that you were having a really rough time during Brawl. But then the film comes out and it's 2.5 minutes, and after a heck of a day being like 9 minutes, I was
Yeah.
kind of thinking, well, if he had such a bad time, how is it only 2.5 minutes?
Yeah, that would be why I got way too into making the first part, which I'm very proud of most of
Was
those
it was
shots. So
was you said like some of the worst time? Was this a worse experience than Heck of a Day?
Heck of a Day was crazy, but it was really consistently good. Like, I don't know, there was
Okay.
one moment where I was waiting on something from someone, and that was a little stressful, but for the most part, it was like heads down, like just keep chugging along and I'll be all right. This one, there were several points where I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to submit something or be able to be proud of the final submission. I feel like I'm letting people down, like my friends who wrote the script with me, like because we really liked what we had. I think it's really good stuff. But
So
it happens. You got to submit.
you were saying about how you were kind of surprised. You were surprised to see it in the top three. So when it got to the results and we had gone through to like the fourth place and everything, were you generally thinking like, oh, I've not placed?
Well, okay. I was like, I would be happy with top 10, but I'm not expecting anything. Like I expected to place, but I was like maybe around 15. I'd be happy with top 10. And so right around like eighth place, I was like, did I just not place at all? So,
It's like, no,
No,
actually,
there was no
you made
way.
a very good film. That was
Yeah. There's a shot in here that I love when the ninja's hiding at the wall and it like rack focuses from the window up high, And you know, like the shot uses depth and height of the 4:3 frame, and you know, it draws the attention with the light in the window. Just really, really nice stuff.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I think it's you really utilize the 4:3 really nicely. I think it fits the compositions and everything really well.
Yeah, I like
And also
adding
just
those
all the
lanterns.
shots from the rooftops, and there's so much like path work going on.
Mm.
Was it all built during the Brawl time?
Yeah, yep.
Oh,
There's so I oh man, I don't have them constructed anymore, but basically everything was modular. So I built three like house-sized buildings, that one like large castle, and then every single wall is like in 12 brick segments. And they're all like placed on just one or two studs, and so I built like eight of them like wall segments, and then I could just stack them and reconfigure them. So it, it it was really helpful during the contest when I was, changing angles and stuff because I could just take these three houses from this shot and now I'm facing the other direction and I can add those behind the set so it looks a lot more expansive and
yeah, it's always useful. You
I
can
will
do that
say
kind of thing.
in the little skirmish that happens, I forgot to take clean plates and I had a lot of rigging and so there's some really janky rigs that are painted out in a couple of those frames. You can see like some double vision effects. It's weird. I don't know. I was kind of stressing about that. I was like, man, remember to take your clean plates.
What I will
Yeah, all
say,
that stuff with the set design, like that's really good ideas. Some ideas that I would like to try to implement in the future.
with the like, because you were saying that you didn't do like the fight that you were kind of planning to do. I kind of think that like I don't really feel like you really feel like it's missing that like with the with the version that you ended up making because like he does at least have like kind of like altercation with the guards and he takes them down and everything and in some ways it kind of makes him more of a I guess like experienced like ninja. He doesn't even need to fight. He knows what he's doing kind of thing. So like I don't think it feels too compromised in that way. Like
Yeah, there's at least some fighting.
yeah.
Yes, it would
You
not
gotta
be
have
a
some.
ninja brick film without some fighting. Yeah.
It's harder than it looks. I have a new respect for, at least the animation of the people who do fight scenes a lot.
Yeah, so on to second place, which is Anthropic Principle by Nerdnot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love to see another film in the same series because, a film with the same characters came first in Brawl last year. And now they're not a second.
Yeah, this one's just gorgeous to look at visually. I mean, it's a reliably good story from Nerdnot. And yeah, I love just the atmosphere of all the orange and yellows, and even like the red hair of the lady protagonist. I forget the name. Apologies.
Yeah, I like
it's Rose Potts is the name.
Nerdnot always has like stories with good, interesting concepts, and good dialogue back and forth. And of course, Nerdnot's dialogue animation is second to none, and especially in this.
Yeah, I mean,
He always knows just how to move the figures.
Nerdnot's animation at times reminds me a lot of Mind Game.
Mind
very
Game.
Kind of meticulous kind of character animation that's really like expressive and fluid.
Yeah, I will say my only reservation with the fluid animation is that, like, in the fight scene, I think there's maybe a little bit just as a recommendation to Nerdnot, literally just probably. I think it's so smooth that when it goes to the fight scenes and somebody's like chopping the axe, it feels a little bit too smooth. I would say maybe just a little bit more punchiness there.
Yeah, some punch doesn't have enough.
Probably a little. Yeah.
I was wondering when we were going to bring that up. Maybe a bit sooner than I expected, but yeah. Yeah. It's almost like you need a different approach than for the dialogue animation, rather than the same sort of careful ultra smoothness.
But
Um,
I kind of
yeah,
think,
But even then,
providing
that's a relatively minor thing.
yeah, I'd
So,
say
yeah,
that
minor,
like
yeah, but it's like Aaron Owen was saying, he's got a new respect for fight animation.
Yes.
I do
It
think that
is
like
hard, yeah.
it's interesting because like I feel like I can see where the intention was to kind of like make it kind of like flow with the music, with the actual original score that was composed for the film, which was really good. I can kind of see how the kind of score was kind of like, the animation was kind of made to kind of hit the beats of that, or I guess maybe the other way around. I'm not sure. Based on BRAWL, I imagine it's probably the animation afterwards. But yeah, I kind of thought that was kind of interesting. I could see that, and but I do also agree that like it just needs a slight sort of punchier. But it is hard to do if you've never done fight animation before. Getting into it, especially in a contest, it's kind of like knowing exactly how to do that is not the easiest thing. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, Nerdnaut's dialogue animation is always so locked in with the subtleties of the voice performances, and something that always catches my eye is when people animate a character's head turns to look at something, and then their shoulders turn to match where the face is looking, and it's so hard in Lego because like when you turn the torso, that turns the head with it, so you have to start like turning the head backwards to keep it in place. It's really annoying, but it's
Well,
impressive
it's
when people
also
do that
like
in Brickfilms. And yeah, it's like Mind Game was the blueprint for sure. I don't really know where Mind Game got that exactly, like so early to be so much more advanced with the dialogue animation than other people in the community.
I mean, Mind Game really felt like a pioneer in a lot of ways
Yeah,
because
pioneer.
he was doing that kind of animation really early on. Like his early animation, like the early like public like break films that he'd made, like already had a lot of the kind of blueprints of that.
Yeah,
And he was like quite young when he was doing those, which is kind of crazy. And yeah, it looks amazing.
with the head rotation too. If you've never tried to do it, it's tough because the pivot points are off center. Like because you're rotating the head on the central axis of the body, and then when you're turning the body, you're usually doing it from one of the feet,
Mhm.
which is not directly below like the neck peg. So you have to like put them onto some kind of other rig to turn them. It's not easy. So
yeah. It's incredibly annoying, all right.
Yeah. There's so much that like in the technical minutia of how like the figures are built, that like until you it's impossible to explain until you've actually like gone in and done it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. There are little details that we would notice from having our own experience with animating the
Yeah.
figures.
And I'm looking at even like just some of the detail. In about like 2 minutes 15, there's that overhead shot of the woman chasing him with an axe, and like just the amount of details of the set design of the floor of the ground with all like the circular 2x2 pieces and the ones the 2x2 plate with the stud in the middle. Like I'm actually interested to see if that makes it easier or harder to animate, because it's like, okay, you give
it's harder.
yourself like
I had those
it's
pieces.
hard.
I had those
Well,
pieces in my film. It's harder.
okay, well, I was wondering because if it's like, okay, if you have the peg, you know where you're gonna end up. So you get what I'm saying?
I
Yeah,
get it.
but
Yeah,
But they're
yeah,
also the 2x2 flat plates. That's like, okay, well, I imagine that's a pain in the butt to animate.
I guess at least for me, because I'm used to how the figure's legs move on like the regular grid of studs. When you
Mhm.
get like a middle jumper in there, it complicates things.
Okay.
And then if you like are just slightly off and the foot is not going to land on the stud, then you have to like it'll like jump back or forward or whatever. I don't know. I found it more difficult when I was doing mine because I had some of these in the floor too.
Okay.
but at least there are studs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that we wanted to say about? I mean, it's just gorgeous to look at, and it's a solid story. So heck yeah.
Yeah, and it's 5 minutes long,
I did want to say that I like a lot of the kind of sort of general animation of just kind of like impact and kind of just general like things that happen. I really like the when they try and drive away and then just like the stuff that happens around that, like, you know, the tree falling, and then you can see the logs falling off and from the impact, and then the smoke effect, which I think he used previously in his voluntary last year, which is really great.
Yeah.
I
And,
really
like,
like
good-
the sort of chainsaw animation as well. Is really good, really simple but really effective. And just like it's going up and
Good
down.
shots with the like 2:39:1 aspect ratio. With, you know, the car driving away and then the tree falls in, you know, super wide shot. Yeah, it's all
And the,
really
and
good stuff all around.
the perfect narrative payoff. So heck yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
always a plus, all right. I mean, yeah, story is always king,
Speaking of which,
but yeah,
is that doing us to Comet Fever, the
Yeah.
first place
first
entry,
place winner Stanley
first-
Kubrick.
Yeah, which is kind of expected at this point, but like it's always earned. It's never any question of that.
Yeah. I mean, it's
To be fair, it's his first Brawl win at least.
true.
You know,
it is.
whenever we watch the full playlist of entries afterwards, I'm always thinking in my head, like, what do I expect is going to come first? And like, there was obviously a lot of strong competition this year, so I was thinking about it, but I was mostly thinking, is there anyone who has a chance of beating Stanley's film for this year? And after a bit of thinking, I was like, it's going to be Stanley.
Yeah.
It just is.
You know, 100%.
Yeah. You know, I understand the people who are like, God, he just wins all the time. I'm like, can you argue against it though? Like, what would you say against it? Like, what? Yeah. It's just phenomenal. It's beyond just, again, the technical elements. It's just, I see the vision and it feels like a perfect execution of it. I literally, so yesterday actually I went on like this morning show that I do for work, and literally one of the hosts asked me like, what makes a bad film? And the first thing that came to mind is, you know, a lack of vision and like not being able to execute vision. And this feels like I can see the images of, you know, what were in his head, and this is a perfect execution of it in tone, in set design, in mood. I mean, tone and mood are basically the same thing, but you know, animation. Yeah, it's all around. It all feels of a piece, and yeah, it's great.
There's a lot of this film that's shot on ones too, which is really impressive, especially for Brawl.
Is it only the host on one?
It's the host. It's also some of the like family towards the end. I think when he opens the little box in that extreme close up, it's also.
But of course, like, I wasn't even thinking about any of that on my first watch.
Yeah,
So
no.
it's just
Yeah,
engrossing
Mhm.
as a film. Yeah, like I wasn't studying it as just like technical stuff.
Well, like I think
Yeah.
at the end of the day, that's kind
And
of like a testament to
That's
like
a
how
good thing, yeah.
film is. Yeah.
That's what you want, yeah.
Yeah, I think
Even stuff like this, I was rewatching it the other day, and literally just the sound
yeah, the
design,
sound design.
just the echo, there's the pure sound design is just like, and again, it works. What is the central idea? The central idea, and it just works to add to that, and just the repeated echo is so cool. Like, yeah, awesome.
I like the switch to color too at the end.
Yeah. That was
Yeah,
really effective.
very
yeah.
effective.
I think it's you know, considering that the kind of concept is this kind of like, you know, capturing people's minds. I think that the tone and editing had to be very specific. They had to be meticulous, right, for it to actually pay off. And I think that like doing that with the sound design and with the actual pacing, just like, yeah, he had the vision, and it just works so expertly well. And
It's
yeah,
crazy
the
because
editing
he
is
was telling me
fantastic
he
as
didn't want to make this public, and I was like, "What? You gotta post it."
Why?
I don't know. Like, yeah, I don't know. You know, you always kind of
Wait,
get.
he said he didn't want to make this
Well, you always
public.
get in your own head about the films. Like, I didn't
Okay.
like mine, you know,
Crazy.
but he was like, "Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna make it public." And I was like, "What? This is way like absolutely worthy of your channel. Like, what in the world? So
Yeah.
I'm glad it got the recognition it deserves.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, and I love the line saying like you won't remember anything, and it feels
Hmm.
organic, like it could end there and that's it. But then to have the little tease at the end, again going back to color, it gives that moment of, oh, was it all in your head, and then it's like, oh no, it all works, it all comes back full circle. It's great.
Something I appreciate about his filmography is like it's all very stylistically cohesive. There's definitely like they're all very similar in terms of he's got a very clear style,
Mhm.
but he also tries something new in like every film, and
Yeah,
they feel very distinct.
yeah, they're all different.
It can be easy to be like, oh, well, this worked, so I'm just going to do this now. But
Yeah, like, and even
I
with
can totally see the creative spark is still there in
a
every
lot of
single film.
science fiction films, but they're all different science fiction films. But
Right? Yeah.
you'd still know it was him making them. If you weren't told it was him, you'd still be able to spot it from a mile away.
I think
It's funny because like I have a list of films that like I really want to make, and it's a mile long. I'll never get to all of them,
Mhm.
but uh, a lot of times I'll see the latest Stanley Kubrick film. I'm like, darn it, he did it, and he did it way better than I ever would have done it. So just have to
Very
cross these off the list.
I do think
Yeah.
it's actually interesting. I mean, I spoke to him recently and I guess a bit of a plug for an upcoming blog, which will be probably out by the time this podcast is out. But I did speak to Stanley quite in depth about like his creative process and that kind of thing, and he is very much someone who, and you can really see it in his work. I think the work speaks for itself, definitely. That like he is someone who's very, very clearly inspired when he is making the stuff he's making. I don't mean inspired by like as in like, oh, he's taking inspiration from something. I mean like genuinely like he is excited to make the films he makes, and there is this general kind of just passion and enthusiasm that really drives him to make the stuff that he makes. I think you can clearly see that in the sort of like um, the Cosmogenesis saga. That's a series that he managed to pull off like in that in 1 year, and he it's just I don't think you can make something like that and have that kind of motivation to make something like that unless it was something you're generally excited to create, and you can clearly see that I think in all his work, definitely.
Yeah, I'd love to see his creative process like up close. I think it would be super interesting. He's got such a strong work ethic when it comes to producing films, and clearly
I
very creative
it's
and
nice
just good
it's
at his craft.
it is nice to know that there is a way of there's an example of someone who has actually kind of done all of that and not lost their mind in the process of just you know doing all that work. Yeah.
Yeah, the work ethic is incredible. I'm envious
Yeah.
of that
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, maybe one of these days he'll decide that he's happy to do a podcast. One of these contests.
Well, there's no pressure.
We showed up to Steiner Eye, which is like,
Yeah, we met
Yeah.
Stanley at Steiner.
Oh, yeah.
It's really cool.
he made a public appearance.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Very cool. Yeah, no, this was a phenomenal year of entries. So heck yeah.
And yeah, like
Great.
he'd only just had his Steiner film, which won a bunch of prizes, and then just immediately makes a BRAWL film a couple of days after winning all of those prizes.
And then wins
Yeah, I think
that,
I would have
yeah.
been burned out.
Yeah, it's that's a kind of crazy thing of like, I kind of I interviewed him with the assumption that like, hey, this is kind of especially poignant for like you've just won all these dynamite things, and now it's like that's already like he's already done something else. Like
The interview hasn't come out, and he's already won another contest. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, great film, great entries generally. Like I was really impressed by it. By really really stacked like top 25 to be honest.
Yeah.
And I think a particularly good year. I'd say probably quite a good year to kind of like cap off on, I guess, for you, Chris. Like
Yeah, I felt like a great year. There's still that pull of like, man, like I was actually showing a coworker, the top 3 the other day, and I was like, man, this is like such good stuff. There is still that part of me that's like, man, I want to keep going on this, but I know it's probably end on a high note. I would rather end now than, I mean, as I said in the results, it's like I've kind of been on autopilot where it's like, I've been doing it for so long, it feels like routine. And the moment it gets routine, that's when it's just like, all right, I need to hand this off to someone else, or else it's going to get stale. And I know entry counts aren't everything, but I don't want it to get it, to make it not feel fresh enough that people don't keep coming back. So, I felt like it was a good time to end off. There's part of me that wanted to make it to 10 years, in 2018 when I first started, but I was like, if I'm doing it for just a number, then it's probably time.
Well, I was looking at the wiki, and I actually noticed that you have hosted half of all brawls that have occurred.
Wait, really? Is that?
Yeah.
Because this is
That's
the 18th, and yeah, mine's not 9 because it was. Yeah, let me pull up the wiki real quick. Why am I blanking on? Yeah, for some reason I had Kin's Cove in my head, but no, it was Monza Papa.
Yeah, Kin's Cove did one of
as
the Easter contests.
Oh, okay, that's probably where I was getting. Yes. Yeah, Monza Papa first for 2 years, then Goliathan for 2 years, and then Fun Soccer for 13, 14, 15, 16, 5 years, and then me for the rest. So yeah, this is half. Jeez, oh my word.
I mean that kind of also means that I've actually
Yeah.
entered half of the brawl contest as well, because I entered every single brawl contest that you hosted. So yeah.
That's awesome.
Brawl 2018 was the first one I entered.
Yeah, first one. Shout out to. I look back. I was like, I want to see just the kind of the evolution of the announcement videos. And I look back and I'm like, dear Lord, why did I think I could keep a scraggly little goatee on camera? The most nasty thing. But yeah, I mean, it's been an interesting, demarcation of my life, in that I started when I was in my parents' upstairs room. Now I'm moved out my own place, married. There was a part of me that's like, I'll stop hosting Brawl when I have kids. That'll be the end. But didn't quite make it there. But we'll see. We'll give it a couple years. But yeah, I mean, I basically said it all in the results video. Like, yeah, I'm incredibly proud of everything, and proud of the legacy that people since announcing the resignation, a number of people have reached out and said some very, very thoughtful and kind things about it. And I really appreciate it. And again, I'll still be around, just not strictly in the organizational sense. We'll see. Like, I mean, I also was thinking about this. Like, I don't know, I'd be down to return just as a judge, because I still love the process of watching all the entries and collaborating and figuring out, like, having like the types of conversations that we've been talking about, like the nuances of Brickfilms with the other judges. I'd love to come back and do that, assuming the next host is open to that at some point. But yeah, I still love this. It's just the organization side of it, and I mean, because there is a lot, some decent amount of work on the back end of organizing, figuring all that out, that stuff, and that's not exactly what I'm passionate about right now. I got a whole bunch of other stuff that I'm more interested in and passionate about. So I just wanted to hand it off to somebody who would have that same fire that I did, because I remember, like, I was handed Brawl before I even became a moderator on staff. It was Funsucker who was there, and I was lucky enough that I had the in that he said, oh, well, I was friends with him, and he said, oh, I'm going to start stopped doing Brawl. And I think I even have like the Discord message where I said like, hey, can I host it? And he's like, all right, yeah, sure. And for me, that was like such a big thing of like, oh my gosh, I'm going to host this contest. And that was like such a really cool feeling. So I wanted to hand it off to somebody who feels the same way, as opposed to I don't want to say the organizational side is a chore, but like there's a part of me that's like, okay, all right, I got to figure this out. And it's not at the forefront of my mind. So,
I mean, yeah,
that's the end of my rant.
Some stuff is exciting and some stuff is like definitionally not exciting.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. It's that basically. Gosh, dude, Mike. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, he's been going crazy.
Causing error.
I mean, because
Yes.
it's blurred. It kind of looks like he's doing backflips.
Yeah, pretty much. He's got a little bed that's like hidden behind the curtain back there that he just lays in and just sunbathes. But yeah, like again, I'll still be around.
Well, thank you for all the years of service.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So Era, what's your vision now? What are you gonna do?
Yeah, well, no, it's great to be. It's been great to be on the Bricks in Motion staff and kind of figure out how things run and how we get people excited to continue to make brick films and to engage with one another and improve our craft together. So, I mean, that's ultimately what I want to continue to help promote. I think there's a lot we can do to engage the community and to keep people interested in learning and growing. So I'm excited to help out in a bigger way with that.
Yeah, and I do think
that's awesome.
we had recognized that like multiple of us were kind of on autopilot a bit. Like things were just sort of trucking along fine, but it was time to try to rev things up again.
Yeah. I think part of it is
honestly,
just
since
from
Brawl, we've kind of already seen a little bit more engagement and keeping that momentum going. We got some new people on staff, some new blood. We're all excited to help out, and there's going to be some exciting things coming. The summer contest is going to be great. So
Yeah, the summer contest, which has now been
I
announced.
think yes, it has. I think for a while we were just trying to like figure out how are we going to get like a routine going, and then once we got it, we're like great. And then after a while, it's like okay, well, we have to keep sustaining it. And that's what we keep iterating on. And I'm again, I say I'm very excited for what the future holds. So
yeah, I mean, it's kind of a crazy task to take like this machine that's all volunteer run with people cycling in and out. Like, it's kind of a crazy thing to try to manage.
We hope to get some more YouTube videos going again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, we do. Again, just getting the routine going is you get inspired by like, oh, we're doing the thing, and then it's like, well, you got to keep the thing up. So again, I trust you guys. You guys are going to do great stuff, and it'll be awesome.
Yes, so congratulations on successfully getting out with no drama.
No drama. I didn't hold the community hostage. None of that stuff. No, it's I'll still be around. I'll still be a part of the conversation. No drama, no beef, none of that. Just time.
Speaking of time, how are we looking at time at the moment?
I gotta go.
Yeah, I think we're on a good.
Okay, well that answers that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's like I think we've got a good conversation out of that. I mean, we've just gone over 2 hours, so
yeah, I think that's a fine point to wrap up.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us, and also thank you so much for getting up early in the morning to have this conversation. And
my pleasure.
Thanks to both of you for thank you, Chris, for everything. As a host of BRAWL, and also as admin of Bricks in Motion, you've done a lot to make Bricks in Motion what it is today. So huge thank you to you, and also congratulations, Graham,
Appreciate you
for passing on the torch. And
And third place in Brawl.
And first place.
Yeah,
as well,
thanks.
Yeah.
And third place.
Right.
Hoping to serve the community well.
Great. Yes, thank you very much. Right.
Right.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
See ya.